When I come home from work each day, I'm usually met by intense excitement and high energy from my dog Mora. I continue to work with her on calming down and not jumping all over me or someone who may be with me. She's a pretty large dog and could hurt someone if they aren't ready for her overwhelming greeting. When I tell her to sit, she'll sit, though she's hardly able to contain herself from screaming, I love you, and I'm so glad to see you! Yay! Only she says this with her body rather than with words. She is a dog after all. Most of the time, I'm able to embrace this jubilant affection because she is so lovable. But then, the ongoing training goes right out the window. After all, she is a pretty special dog. Mora was found by animal control out in a remote area of the western Arizona desert near a town called Aguila. 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 Side note: whenever my wife and I drive through Aguila or see it in the news, we get really excited and start exclaiming about Aguila being Mora's hometown. This probably seems a little strange to anyone with us at those times, but it's just our way of expressing our love for Mora. Back to the story of Mora being found in the remote desert of western Arizona. She was in pretty bad shape when she was found, with cuts and abscesses all over her body and her face. And she had caught kennel cough while in the Prescott Animal Control dog pound on top of all that. How she ended up in Prescott is a bit of a mystery. Aguila is in Maricopa County. Prescott is in Yavapai County, a good hour and a half drive away from where she was found. It was the 4th of July in 2008. My wife and I wanted to see about getting a friend for our dog at the time, named Garcon, to pal around with, so we decided to stop in at the dog pound to see if there were any dogs that needed a home. We saw Mora, then named number 12, curled up in her concrete cell, sad and depressed. By looking at number 12, she looked to be timid and lifeless. We decided to visit with her for a bit, as she seemed like the one that needed the most love out of all the dogs in the doggy prison. Sure enough, she was timid and lifeless when we took her out to the yard to visit. There was something about her that we were drawn to, though, so we went home to get Garcon to bring him to visit with number 12, just to make sure the two dogs got along. And they did. So we decided to adopt number 12 and sign the paperwork. We didn't get number 12 home until a week later, as she had a lot of health issues the people at the pound needed to take care of first. When she did arrive home, she was so tired, all she wanted to do was sleep. She was probably exhausted from being probed and moved around by strangers for weeks, and now she was again in a new place with new strangers. Over the course of the past week, we had decided to name number 12 Mora, which I have read is slang for something along the lines of little berry in Spanish. So, Mora arrived at our home and slept for at least 24 hours straight. When I arrived home from work the day after we brought her home, there she was, full of life and ready to play. A completely different dog than I had known when I left for work that morning. I soon came to know a dog that would chew whatever she could get her paws and canines on when left unsupervised. And little did I know, she would be the source of a lot of frustration and fruitless attempts to Mora-proof our home and our yard. Though Mora wreaked havoc on our home, she also inflicted something else on our home: love. All of the slippers and shoes I've lost to Mora's chewing, all of the broken glasses and mugs I've lost to Mora's excited and out of control tail, and all of the miscellaneous possessions that have been lost to Mora's escapades are meaningless when compared to the love and joy Mora brings to our lives. Thinking of Mora reminds me that love should always be the priority over everything else, especially over material possessions. Not so long ago, Garcon, our other dog, passed away. This was an extremely painful experience, losing a friend like Garcy, as we tended to call him. He will never be replaced in our lives, as Mora will always be a unique friendship in our lives that will never be replaced. I don't want to have regrets about my relationship with Mora, so I will always be mindful of how much she loves us and how much we love her, regardless of the level of her rambunctiousness or her destruction. I only have a limited amount of time to enjoy our friendship, while I could always go buy some shoes or a coffee mug anytime I want. So I want to cherish my time with her. Nothing is worth more than the love between myself and Mora. Nothing.